Retire as champion!
Hello there. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. Today we're going to talk about changing your mindset in the game. Instead of thinking about the situational awareness of offense and defense, playing objectives, we want to talk about disruption today. How you can best disrupt the enemy team. And we're going to split this discussion up into two sections. First, we want to look at the science of disruption and the resource of time, how best you can affect the time of the other team. And also we want to look at the art of disruption, how best can you affect the enemy's mindset, the enemy's psychology, how you can get into the head of an enemy player. Something that we want to keep in mind, however, is that disruption is a holistic tactic in the game. You don't want to get tunnel visioned into getting into a one-on-one battle with an enemy player, but rather you need to keep a side eye on the objective, always putting that priority. But as a secondary priority, if you can disrupt the enemy team, you can really affect the outcome of the game. So the first thing to consider is, how do you disrupt an enemy team from capturing an objective or defending an objective? And most of this is going to be based around affecting their tanks and support characters. Their tanks are mostly going to be the pushers on the objective or the ones defending the front lines of an objective. And you really, in order to disrupt their ability to defend or attack, you have to turn their attention behind them. So we're going to focus mostly on the flankers, Tracer, Reaper, and Genji, to really get behind and force a Reinhardt to turn his shield behind, allowing your frontline players to attack his behind. You want to force a Roadhog to waste his chain pulls on trying to hit a quick Tracer or invincible Reaper. You want to force Winston to consider, does he jump forward and disrupt your team, or does he turn and have to deal with you doing damage to the support heroes behind? With teams that are talking to each other and communicating well, some of the best ways to turn attention away from the front lines and behind is to hit the soft targets. Attack their Mercy or the Zenyatta directly. Those healers are going to need to call out for help, and when they do, all those frontline players will turn to help them. Attacking support heroes in the back lines is the best way to force attention away from the front lines and cause them time devoted to stopping you. Each second devoted to tracking down a superior movement character is time devoted away from the objective, allowing your team to capitalize on that added time. There's also a psychological element here. If you can kill a Mercy every time she comes up, or even intercept her trying to get back from respawn, you can really affect her psychology and raise the frustration level of the team as a whole. I think exploiting this frustration is also important in countering Bastion and Torbjorn. If you're able to continually counter a Bastion by flanking him, or kill a Torbjorn's turret before he's able to get it past level 1, you really can affect the psychology of those players. You can cause them frustration. You can even make them change hero to something else if they're not being effective at all. I think more than any other hero, disrupting Widowmaker's ability to snipe is most important of all. She's very vulnerable standing there stationary, looking at targets from long range. If you can close the distance fast, get behind her, and make sure that she can't get in a comfort zone of sniping, you really can't eliminate that hero's ability to help their team. Another factor in disruption is the shock trooper factor. D.Va's ability to quickly rocket boost into front lines, Reinhardt's charge, Winston's jump, these all force teams to not have a static frontline strong point defense or attack. This makes them turn and turns areas into skirmish areas or arenas rather than just solid front lines with no easily defined front line or defense point. Characters such as Bastion, Torbjorn, and even Reinhardt, Mercy, and Zenyatta, characters who rely on exploiting sightlines, are less effective in combat. Finally, I want to talk about counter-disruptive tactics. If you can hold a flank with McCree or Soldier 76, or even really cover a side area with a Mei, or a character that can easily counter one of the flanking classes, you can really help your team establish their push point or their front lines without being distracted by the enemy team. The key here is to know your limitations. If you get caught in your own frustrated cycle of attempting to counter a hero and it's not working, effectively they are disrupting you. You need to know how much you can commit to disrupting an enemy team. If your frustration level is higher than them, it's probably not working and you should consider changing to a different tactic or a different hero. If a burst shot from Mercy or 2 shotgun blasts from Reaper is enough to turn a Reinhardt around for a good 5 seconds and contend with you, you've spent less effort and less time than that Reinhardt has. If you can reach a Widowmaker and kill her quickly, she has to spend time respawning and finding a new position that is less vulnerable than the one she got caught in. Disrupting an enemy team's flankers can be as simple as just taking an alternate route to get to the front lines. Ultimately, disruption is about interrupting comfort levels. If you can get in an enemy team's head, you can force them out of their game. If you can force them to devote more time and effort to you than focusing on the objective, you've completed your mission and maybe just won the game for your team.